Hey guys, Static here. Today on Dungeon Guide we're going to be covering Veteran Hard Mode Banished Cells 2. I want to start off by saying that this dungeon's mobs have a pretty typical composition with the exception of Flame Atronachs, which do add an element of flame damage. This boss only has two mechanics to really speak about. The first being this charged one where flames shoot out from her in every direction, so just watch out, keep your distance, try not to get hit. The only other thing she does is she puts these two small AoEs on the ground, so just don't stand in those. This boss has a few interesting and unique mechanics to him. The first one being an overhand smash and then a bite that he applies to the tank, which is a stun and a bleed. The next thing he'll do is turn to a random party member and do a conal flame attack, so watch out for that, be ready for it. The main mechanic of this boss fight, however, is the fire. It's actually a DPS check of sorts, as the fire will never disappear until the boss dies. Therefore, the best thing your tank can do is kite him around the outside of the room, using every nook, every cranny you can to spread this fire around so you have more time to damage the boss. Our tank is doing a great job of showing you just how to spread this out the best way for a low DPS group. This really isn't necessary for our group, but we wanted to show it anyways. For one, our tank is tanky enough to just stand in the fire, and he can just be in multiple stacks of it and be fine. For two, we have enough DPS that we don't need this much time to take him down. But just wanted to show you the proper way in a lower DPS group to spread the fire around to give you the most time possible to burn this boss down. This boss is actually really underwhelming and shouldn't give you any trouble at all. The first thing he does is he does kind of a channeled ability, which doesn't really hurt you much. He does a spinning attack like this, and then he just does heavy attacks. Those are his only mechanics. This boss is actually one of my least favorite boss fights in the game, just because there's no fast way to do it. She'll do some light and heavy attacks, and then she's going to retreat into one of these ball orbs. When she does that, some ads show up. They burn down pretty quick, and then you're just standing here waiting. The balls don't really hurt, as I show here. When she does reappear in these balls, she's going to do a large AoE. You can block it, or you can dodge roll it. It doesn't really do a whole lot of damage. So this fight really consists of just watching her go into the ball, burning down the ads, then she reappears from the ball, does an AoE. She just keeps doing this over and over again, and it's just a slow fight. This next fight can be done out where the bosses are originally, or you can actually pull them back into this hallway. Now there's pros and cons to doing both of these methods. The first being, one sister will get a damage shield, and then the other sister will get a damage shield. It's a lot of running back and forth if you're out in the open, whereas here you can just simply turn and damage the non-damage shielded sister. Another benefit of pulling these sisters into the hallway is that your tank can easily bash each sister's AoE conal attacks. They can actually do quite a bit of damage. So one, he turns them away from the party in case he can't get the bash off, and two, it's a lot easier to just turn and bash whichever one has the red lines, whichever one's about to summon that conal. The next mechanic are the feast balls. When they go out, they need to burn down immediately. If they reach the sisters, they'll get a heal. So that's the only con to actually having them here in the hallway, as the balls will only go to the edges of the walls. So you have much less time to react, whereas out in the open, they go very far from the sisters and have a long range to travel before they actually get those heals. So there are pros and cons here. I prefer to pull them into the hallway. It's just a much faster fight this way. The way you activate this boss is by talking to Keeper Sirion, and he's going to go have a civilized discussion with the boss and see if they can work out their differences. As you may have guessed, they end up not working out their differences. The main mechanic here is, In this room, there's a red rune on the ground and a blue rune on the ground. He's going to pick up a random party member in a bubble. Your bubble is either going to be blue or red. Whichever bubble that is, when you drop from the sky, you need to run to that rune to remove a curse that is a damage over time associated with your color rune. Next, the boss will summon a Daedroth. Along with the Daedroth comes 2 feast balls. You have to take them down before they reach the boss. As we know, those are healing orbs. The boss also summons fire around the room in random locations, so you want to try not stand in them as it's quite a bit of damage. He also does a teleport to a random section in the room. This becomes problematic because your tank needs to keep taunt on him, so it's a good idea to have a ranged taunt in this fight. Let's talk about the importance of the Daedroths in this fight. The way you complete hard mode and get 2 keys is by keeping 3 Daedroth alive at the time the boss dies. So your tank needs to not only keep aggro on the boss to keep pressure off the group with his light attacks, but also keep aggro on at least 3 Daedroth and keep them away from the boss. That way AoEs aren't going to burn them down. You need at least 3 of them alive. You can have more, but you need at least 3 of them alive at the time of his death, or you won't complete hard mode and you won't get your 2 keys. Thanks for checking out the video, guys. Please smash that like and subscribe button below for future content releases. I really appreciate the support everybody's been showing me. So I want to just say thank you to each and every one of you. It really means a lot to me. See you guys later and catch you next time.